Oh, okay. So that's what the asterisk stands for. It makes sense now. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and today we're getting into all of my spoiler-free thoughts on Marvel Studios' latest film, Thunderbolts, asterisk, which releases in theaters this weekend, May 2nd. A huge thank you to Marvel Studios and Disney for giving me the chance to watch this early in IMAX for this review. Now, I did post my out-of-theater reaction where I told you that I really like this movie, and I'm here to tell you that after sleeping on it, I still really love this movie. Now, excuse me if my voice sounds weird, I'm getting over a cold, but we are going to dive into what this film is all about, and it starts with the man in the chair, the director himself, Jake Schreier, I hope I pronounced his name properly, who directed Netflix's TV series Beef, and it stars an incredible ensemble cast. And these are names you're not unfamiliar with. Yes, you will have to do some homework if you don't know these names and these characters before this movie, like watching Captain America Brave New World, Black Widow, and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but for the most part, these are familiar characters for those who have been watching the MCU. Let's start with Florence Pugh, who plays Yelena Belova, Sebastian Stan, who comes back as Bucky Barnes, David Harbour as Red Guardian, Wyatt Russell as John Walker, Olga Kurylenko as Taskmaster, Pullman as the mysterious Bob, or as most know him, Sentry, and Julie Louis-Dreyfus as Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. And she really does emphasize her last name is de Fontaine, not just Fontaine. That's a joke in the movie, but this film is stacked, y'all. I mean, I didn't think I needed a Thunderbolts movie, to be honest with you. When I first heard the idea, I was like, scrap it. But actually, it worked. Now, without spoiling anything, in Thunderbolts, we go on an adventure with an unconventional team of anti-heroes, everyone we just listed. And now these disillusioned cast-offs, well, they embark on a dangerous mission that allows them to understand, well, there's more than meets the eye, and a lot of these dark secrets are ready to be uncovered, and it's up to this cast of misfits to save the day. Because, of course, who else is going to do it? Tony Stark, he did, But the film itself has two credit sequences. You've got a mid-credits, which is okay. Then you got a post-credits, which is very, very important. So you need to stick around and you need to not get spoiled, because when it happened, I might have almost clapped in the press screening I was in. It was exciting. Alrighty, you guys, so now let's get right into my review and start with the positives, because there's a lot of good takeaways that I have after watching Thunderbolts. It is really the freshest MCU movie in years. And I don't say that lightly because, yeah, there have been some MCU films where I'm like, oh man, this feels like the MCU we know and love. But it didn't really have a lot of the edge that I think Thunderbolts had. It felt like this movie was like, finally, I've been waiting for something fresh and original in the MCU, and this felt like it. This truly was the dose of originality that the multiverse saga desperately needed. After Jonathan Majors' departure and they moved on from King, I'm thinking, okay, Doctor Doom, you're bringing back Tony Stark. What the heck is going on? But you know what? I'm riding with Thunderbolts. Like, this was exactly what I think the multiverse saga needed. Everything felt purposeful. And that's not to say the other movies didn't have purpose. It just, well, it's been a while since there was a lot of intentionality in every frame. There are some throwaway scenes we have in like previous films in this saga, but yeah, there's an emotional element that I really haven't felt in a long time in the MCU that's found in Thunderbolts. I mean, even the script was snappy, and something I didn't know I even missed so much in Marvel movies, because lately scripts have been kind of hard to come by, at least good ones, in the MCU. The dialogue was written very well. The humor was aces. I mean, this is one of the funnier Marvel movies to date, and I thought all of the dialogue was funny. Well, I mean, there are some jokes that I'm like, whatever, but honestly, like 99% of the jokes landed for me. And that's pretty hard to do in a comedy movie, let alone a superhero film. And I do like that the banter never felt very forced. There was a natural chemistry among our cast, which we'll get into in a little bit. But I also love how the film looked. The cinematography by Andrew Droz Palermo, who was DP on The Green Knight, which was an A24 film, he had some slick shots he brought into this movie. And they were well shot sequences too. I mean, I like the action here, and I could track all of it very well. The scenes with Sentry and the Void, they looked really good. I mean, was it the best cinematography of the year? I mean, no, but I do think that this film, aesthetically and in terms of effectiveness, it was a well-oiled machine, and that's more than I can say for a lot of the other MCU titles in this saga. So yes, the film, technically speaking, was really working for me, and I do have to give props to Jake Schreier, the director of this film. I did not think that he could do it, because the idea felt, I don't know, kind of just out of left field. I didn't think that he could bring all these characters together and actually develop them. But he literally developed every single character in this movie, and I loved it. The pacing was just excellent, and I did not feel the 2-hour and 6-minute runtime. Instead, I actually kind of wanted more. I wanted to learn more about these characters and their stories, even though we did get a lot, so don't worry. It's not that I'm saying I wanted to learn more because there was a lack thereof. No, there was a lot of substance and material here for the director to work with, and then he did so well that I was just like, yeah, I kind of want to stay in this pocket for a little while longer. And outside of the emotion, the action sequences were so fun. Hand-to-hand combat was reminiscent of The Winter Soldier. And speaking of reminiscing on past sequences, there were these sequences in The Void that really reminded me a lot of the Mysterio and Spider-Man sequence in Far From Home. If you know, you know. And man, it was just so effective in telling the story for each of these characters, and then giving us backstory in an effective way that helped me understand the plight of these anti-heroes. So it was intuitive, it was very effective. Yeah, and Jake Schreier just totally blew away my expectations. So, he did a very, very good job in this film. But before we get into the cast, I do want to circle back to the emotional side of Thunderbolts, because this is something I want to hit on that really differentiates this film from the others in the MCU. I love that the film overtly speaks on mental challenges like depression, isolation, loneliness, the longing of wanting your life to feel fulfilling. These are elements of the human nature that we deal with, whether, y'all know me. Y'all know Jesus is at the center of my life. And even I sometimes deal with mental challenges. It just happens to be like that. You know what I mean? And this movie doesn't shy away from giving you a dose of reality, but also not being hopeless. There's a very good message about togetherness and being there for one another in this film. Unity in the face of division, standing up for right and righteousness, and seeing something in someone that they didn't see in themselves. These are the key elements that tugged on my heartstrings throughout the film. And a lot of the film's core messaging is anchored by two actors. It's Florence Pugh and Louis Pullman. So I do think this is a really good time to transition into the ensemble cast that we have here, because, man, just the acting, I never thought I would be in an MCU film like this, like Thunderbolts, and tear up. And that's what I was doing. Let's start with Florence Pugh, because her acting is excellent here as Yelena Belova, and I can confidently say this is one of my favorite performances of the year. She's such a star. That's to be expected. Have y'all been watching her films? She is always delivering in every role she takes. It's just something different about her portrayal as Yelena that makes you forget you're watching a Marvel movie, and then you sit down and you're like, man, I can't believe what she's delivering on screen, because it really ties together the film. And there's a very specific sequence where you have Yelena and her father Alexei under this bridge in New York City. And when you see the movie, you'll know. Let me know in the comments, of course. But it blew away my expectations again. I did not think we were going to get that level of emotionality, is that even a word, in this film. It felt very raw and authentic, and I almost cried. That was like one of the 2 times I almost cried in this movie. And honestly, you guys, I haven't felt this much emotion in an MCU movie since Infinity War. So I know that's probably a tall task, because y'all know what scene I'm talking about, the Mr. Stark scene. But yeah, I'm ready to say that about this movie. And then there's her co-star Louis Pullman, who plays Bob, or Sentry, and he was very, very good in this movie. He proved to be the right casting decision, because I'm not gonna lie, at first I'm thinking, why is he cast as Sentry? Why should I care about this character? What is going on here? I learned to care about this character pretty quickly. he fit the movie, and it really just made sense for him to be in this role because he conveys this deep sense of isolationism, anxiety, and the longing to be loved that ends up being a common denominator for our entire cast. But with Louis, Pullman, and even Florence Pugh, they express it best in this film. Also, I ain't gonna hold you. Louis Pullman, there's like a superhero moment, and I'm thinking like, yeah, he fits the bill. All right. Again, can't get into any of those specifics. Let's move on to David Harbour, who plays Red Guardian, your number one limo driver. Saves you from boring evening. But, I mean, he has great comedic timing. And David Harbour is just an excellent actor regardless. But I think this is his best role, or I should say his best time in the role as Red Guardian. He's having fun on screen, it radiates off the screen, and he's just more vulnerable, as this character. This is his best portrayal as Red Guardian. It's found here in Thunderbolts. I think what hit hardest for me was the way he navigated trying to be a good dad again to Yelena, while also trying to be fulfilled in his own life. Of course, he wants to be on the Wheaties box, he wants to save the world, he wants to fight for his country. But, we start the movie seeing him, he's a slop, he's just like throwing Cheetos in his mouth, and, he's brushing his teeth with like hand soap. It's disgusting. But, this is the journey for his character. A year after one of his daughters dies, he's gonna, what is he doing? He's feeling alone. And I love that, man. The movie's not afraid to explore that. But honestly, the chemistry overall was incredible for virtually everybody, and that does include Wyatt Russell as John Walker. I couldn't stand him in this movie, but I think that's a good thing. That was the task. I say that in a good way, that I couldn't stand his character. But, he does deliver a very good performance. I will say there were some moments where I'm thinking, is this dude just going to be a bully the whole time? Stick with it. And then you got another co-star here. You have Hannah John Kamen as Ghost. I did not think Ghost was a good character in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I did not love that movie at all. I thought the movie was pretty bad. But I care about Ghost now. This movie made me care about a character I did not care about previously. It's pretty good. Again, it comes back to the writing in this film being so darn effective. And I will say, it's very unique writing for each character. No one felt the same. And of course you're wondering, well, what the heck? What about Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier himself? Well, listen, he's solid in this movie. However, he does take a backseat and give the spotlight mainly to his co-stars. This isn't his movie. This is Florence Pugh's film. But I will say Sebastian Stan, he's okay. I almost think I maybe wanted a little bit more from him, but that's not the direction this movie's taking. It's okay. I think Sebastian Stan hanging in the shadows a bit, no pun intended, is fine. So we've got great acting, awesome writing, solid directing, and listen, I love the emotional elements of this film. So what is there not to like about Thunderbolts? Well, there's not a lot to dislike about this film. I have 2 notes here, honestly, because again, this movie it blew me away, man. But I don't think they did a good job at selling me on Julie Louis-Dreyfus's character. Valentina Allegra de Fontaine is still one of those characters I don't care about. I don't like that character. If anything, I didn't like her in Wakanda Forever. I didn't like her little cameo in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I don't like her here in Thunderbolts. I just think this character to me is just kind of a throwaway. I mean, do we really need another character in this Nick Fury role? No. I don't know. As much as I know Julie Louis-Dreyfus is a great actress, it just doesn't work for me in this movie, and actually, she is the weakest link of the film when it comes to acting as well. There are some very forced delivery of lines here in this film. There are times where she's in a limo and she's really worried, but, she is not selling it. It doesn't seem like she is, and it feels very, stoic. I don't know. It didn't work for me. She just wasn't really blending into the film, and every time she was on screen, yeah, was it the worst thing in the world? I mean, no, I can learn to tolerate her, and I will have to after watching this movie. But I just don't care about her character. And the second thing that didn't really work for me was, well, the music. And you guys know, I'm a big fan of scores in films. And I was actually expecting a little bit more from the trio of Sun Lux, who worked on A24's Everything Everywhere All at Once. When I saw that, I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be cool. It's going to be very engaging, I think the score is going to be immersive. And then, well, there were moments where I'm thinking, yeah, man, the score should have hit harder here. Where is it? Where's the music? Why do I not feel like the score is rising to the level of the acting, directing, and the writing that we're seeing on screen. And unfortunately, that was the case from beginning to end for this film. There were some moments where I thought the score was swelling and, oh my gosh, this is getting kind of cool. And then this music cuts out. I'm like, bro, what happened? I just think we needed more in this area of the film, and I was hoping we would get it, but we didn't. But with that being said, right, this film is still what I would consider on the lower end of the top tier of the MCU. I know that might not be a popular opinion, but it is better than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It is better than some of the other origin films we've gotten in the MCU. This movie is just so good, and it works on nearly every single level. You know, the humor is fresh, the emotional undertones and overtones of this film are fresh. The approach to the character studies in this film is fresh. I can't say it enough that Thunderbolts is really the type of MCU film that I wish we probably would have got earlier in the saga, because it might have helped smooth things over for some of the other poor entries we got in this saga. But man, Thunderbolts is just one of those movies where, yes, do I recommend it in a theater? Absolutely. Is it going to be great with a crowd? Yes. But even on its own, guys, Thunderbolts delivers. And it is just one of those films this year that I'm not going to forget about anytime soon. And if I had to rate it, it would be 4.5 out of 5 Thunderbolts. Because this film, it's everything I wanted from the MCU for a little while now. You know, am I saying No Way Home was awful? No. But this just felt new. Thunderbolts felt different in the best way possible. So yes, guys, Thunderbolts is a huge winner, and I really hope it does well at the box office because it deserves it, the cast and crew deserve it, and this is a film that's well worth your time. So y'all, let me know down below in the comments what you think of my review of Thunderbolts. Does it get you more excited about the movie? And if you've already seen it, give me your grade down below and why. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and tap on that bell for more reviews like this, because is it okay to say this is like officially the start of summer movie season? I mean, May 2nd, right? I mean, May is pretty much the beginning of summer, even though it always feels like summer in this hot state of Florida. Alrighty, y'all. Well, again, thanks so much for watching. God bless you guys, and I'll catch you at the next screening. And seriously, y'all, don't leave before the credits finish. You got to stay. All right? If you don't stay, you're missing out.